The federal government has stepped up pressure on the banks to pass on all of the interest rate cut to borrowers. Initially, the Treasurer said it was a commercial decision, but today the Prime Minister called on bank bosses to explain why they had not passed on the full amount. Here's finance correspondent Philip Lasker.
The rock-bottom interest rates point to problems ahead.
One of the clear engines of growth of the domestic economy, housing, looks like it's going to slow heading into next year. We also know the car industry is basically going to shut down.
Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull delivered a tougher response than his Treasurer to the bank's failure to pass on the entire cut to borrowers.
The commercial banks should pass on the full rate cut. And if they're not prepared to do it, as appears to be the case, then their chief executives should explain very clearly to the Australian people and their customers why they have not done so.
His Treasurer was forced to fall into line.
The Prime Minister has said what I've said, and they should pass it on in full.
Now, if the banks are choosing to take the interest rate cut by the Reserve Bank and use it to prop up margins, they need to be very clear and upfront about that.
Banking analyst Brian Johnson says the banks have passed on the full benefit through borrowers and savers.
And it's one of those rare occasions where depositors have basically won.
As interest rates fell over the past 2 decades, Australian banks' average return on equity has been resilient due to the highly lucrative home loan business. That hasn't happened anywhere else in the world. One thing to keep in mind is the banks frequently adjust their deposit rates, so they could be cut again in the next few weeks once the interest rate hike passes. The politicians will need to maintain the rage. Philip Lasker, ABC News.